Hello and welcome to the Discover Dayton podcast, the show that's all about the Gem City's past, present, and future. My name is Arch Grieve and I'm your host, and today I'm talking with Kristina and Nick Molinaro of 25 and Pine, a local woodworking shop here in Dayton. I actually first found them on TikTok, and it took me a while to realize that they were actually located here in Dayton, so I'm excited to talk with them a little bit about their business, their recent expansion, and what they have planned for the future. So join me and stay tuned. Hello and welcome to the show, and thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having us. We're excited to talk to a local.
Yeah, me too. Well, so I invited you both on today to talk about your business, but before we get to that, could the two of you maybe give us a little bit of background on yourselves?
Yeah. So I guess together, we're Kristina and Nick. We're a married couple, and we own our business together. I have a background in hospitality and marketing, and Nick's background is a little bit different from mine.
Yeah, so I'm an aerospace engineer by trade. Do a lot of research for the Air Force and NASA, so that's kind of a day job. And then this woodworking is my nights and weekends job. Kristina's full-time.
Okay.
Yep. We're both originally from New Jersey, too, so we're Ohio transplants.
Oh, awesome. Well, we're glad you settled in Dayton, thanks.
Good place to be.
Yeah, I think so. Well, moving on to the business, I came across you both on TikTok, but once I did, it took me a while to realize that you're actually located here in Dayton. So can you tell us a little bit about 25 and Pine and maybe why you decided to start the business?
Yeah, so not like most woodworking spaces or hobbyist woodworkers, we started our business with a CNC machine that Nick got one for work for his full-time job and was like, I think we need one of these, and you can start an Etsy shop if you allow me to get one, which secretly I think he was covering up the purchase of the engagement ring
Gotcha.
behind the scenes. But that's what kind of kicked off our business. So we started in the garage of our apartment, just making like signs and small things that we could make on the CNC, mostly for friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were like looking at houses before the wedding, and once we moved in, we realized that furniture was like very expensive and cheaply made. So we're like, well, we have a wood shop, so why don't we just start making it for ourselves? And one thing led to another, and we started building small tables that we could ship assembled out of our house. So for the past year and a half, I've been working in the basement of our house in a very cramped space. And about 2 weeks ago, we just moved into a commercial space. So I've been sharing more of that adventure on TikTok, but it's been a crazy past year and a half that business has ramped up and people are finding our smaller furniture. We design for like unique spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Our like most popular table right now is like very narrow. And apparently that was a hole in the market that we didn't know about and kind of fell into, luckily.
Yeah.
And now we're just navigating the life of production, but also in a bigger space.
Gotcha. Nice. Well, I know you don't just work with pine, so I'm curious, one, how did you settle on the name? And then maybe as a follow-up, what other types of woods do you typically like to work with, and where do you source your lumber from?
Yeah, so we settled on the name partly because it sounded good. But Kristina likes to say we were 25 when we started. It's also our house number. And
nice.
25 and Pine just had the ring, I guess. Right? Pine's also where we started. So just like figuring stuff out, prototyping furniture, which we still do today in Pine. But like in the beginning, some of the stuff we made for our house was just in Pine. So it's just kind of our origin story, I guess.
Gotcha.
I think I've just mentioned we still use Pine to prototype new designs just to be able to see it in real life and just tweak it. And all of our production stuff is in hardwoods. We mostly use ash, cherry, and walnut right now. We get everything rough sawn. We source it from a couple different places. There's a lot of good sawmills around us. A couple in Dayton that we found, Utersville out in Xenia. And recently we've been ordering from a place in Indiana. As production has scaled, like they just have tons of lumber on hand and we're kind of small fish to them, but we just kind of order from them in big batches now and they deliver it to us. So it's been pretty good.
Awesome. Well, I know you all have some really well designed furniture, and I love whatever style it is. Can you talk a bit about your design process and maybe a bit about some of the products that you offer?
Yeah, once we kind of started doing furniture, we were like, well, we need a style, and everybody kind of kept commenting, we love your style, and we're like, we don't even know what that means. But TikTok actually helped narrow it down. I saw a TikTok about different home aesthetics, and she had one on there that said modern or organic modern, and I was like, that is us. It's like natural wood tones, simple, minimalistic. You don't have to change out every piece of furniture as you like change your home style. So once we landed on that, now we can see that it's very organic modern and just very natural and clean looking.
Yeah. As far as the design process, I think pretty much all of our tables were born out of some requests that we got. Like the one we started with, we called the Liz table because Kristina's sister Liz had a small apartment in Philly, and she said she has 6 inches between the couch and the wall and need a table to go there. We're like, all right. So that's how the Liz table was born, and now it's been one of our best sellers. And then people started asking for taller and wider, so then we made the tall Liz table. And then just kind of as you get different requests on Etsy, we kind of just refer to the tables. Some of them, that's their official name, but like there was one customer named Martha who asked us to do a custom order, and then that became one of our staple items. So I guess all the tables come out of a unique purpose that different customers have. And once we get it, we prototype everything on the computer. So like being an engineer, I'm just like familiar with the CAD programs and everything like that. So I can draw it up, make drawings to send to people for them to approve, and it just makes production easier too, so we always have that reference of here's what the end product should look like and things like that.
Well, that makes sense. And yep. I've seen too your I really like your could you talk about, I don't know what they're called, but the wine glass like side tables that you have?
That's also from TikTok, luckily. We had posted about it. It's called our Between Two Chairs is what we call it. It's just a small 1 cup kind of drink table. And that one came about because of Nick's parents would sit and drink their coffee together, and then they didn't have like a table in between. And so hence Between Two Chairs. And then someone on TikTok was like, hey, you should cut in some notches to hold wine glasses. And we were like, that's a crazy idea that we have never thought of, but we love wine. Right. And then out of nowhere, that like blew up right before Christmas and went kind of viral on TikTok. So that has been a interesting design. The people who get it. The people who don't. And we've been getting roasted in our reviews about it because people will buy it as a side table just because it's cheaper, but then they get it and it's not super crazy stable. But I think that the people who buy it for a drink table totally get it. So it's been that's also been a bestseller for us. Add the wine glasses to it, and people are carrying it for their bar rooms and all sorts of things. And people, I think it's it's like a novelty kind of gift, where it's not like something you would buy every day, but it's a fun thing to have.
Yeah, I love it. And then, what are some of the smaller items people can get?
We have we started offering like during COVID with everybody working from home and stuff. We had developed like a couch mouse pad and a laptop stand out of plywood just to kind of fill that void and help people out. Plywood has been a hard thing to source since 2020, so we've kind of taken that one a little bit slower. But we did start out our business. We tried like the cutting boards and coasters like any other woodworking business did, and they are easy to make, which we always go back and forth, like, should we start offering them again? But at the end of the day, I don't think either of us really enjoy making them, so
Gotcha.
It just depends. We've been playing with smaller designs and
yeah, I guess there's always ideas for things we can make that are more accessible and cheaper, but still designed to like our same aesthetic. So I think we have some of that in the works, but we're kind of just going towards bigger stuff actually instead of going smaller. Where like now that we're not in our basement anymore, we can make bigger tables, coffee tables, or like stuff like that, and start shipping those out. So I think
awesome.
That's next on the list.
Very cool. Well, I know a little bit about how hard it is to start a woodworking business because I tried very briefly and I gave up very quickly, for better or for worse. But how long did it take you guys to get to a place where you kind of considered yourselves successful and realized you wanted to do it full time?
Well, the funny thing is that we didn't really have any proven success before I decided to go full time, which was a risky move. But everybody else, it was 2020 and everybody else was quitting their jobs, and I was like, I think we can do this full time. Like, we can make this work. And then a couple months later is when it actually started taking off. And once we started with hardwood furniture is when we really saw sales start to pick up and not slow down. So it's been a hectic, probably past almost a year now, that it's been consistently busy for us. But yeah, it definitely took a lot of trial
6 months to a year probably until it started working for real, right?
Yeah. And then technically, we started our business in 2018 with, the signs and the small things. And then we took a break and got married and planned our wedding and built a bunch of stuff for that. So the first, 2.5 years, I think, was us mostly just messing around in the wood shop. And then once we started taking the business seriously, and less as a side hustle, I guess you could call it, is when we started to see, once we found furniture and we enjoyed making it, is once we saw success, I think.
Yeah, and I guess once we started designing to purposes too, right? It's in the beginning we were kind of making things for the sake of it, trying to force it and see what would work and just kind of just do random stuff, right? But now it's like we found our niche of purposeful design. Once we started doing that too, we just had a more consistent brand voice and things like that, and all just kind of started working together and sales started improving.
I think we're probably where everybody starts their woodworking shop. It's this is woodworking, this is cool, I can make anything. And then you're overwhelmed by the thought of I can make anything, so you make nothing.
Yeah, I do understand that.
Yeah. So I always tell people, once you find, try a bunch of stuff, and once you figure out what you like to make, stick with it for a while and try to make that your product until you can find success.
Nice. That's good advice. Well, I mentioned in the intro that I've been keeping up with you on TikTok, and you mentioned earlier, too, that you've recently moved into a larger space. So what were some of the reasons for the move, and how's that transition been going?
Yeah, so I think one big reason for me was to get more space just to be able to ramp up production. In our basement, our throughput can only be so much per week because the same spaces are used for many different parts of the process. Right? So for sure the finishing room, that's where your finish tables, all the bench tops are taken up when you're finishing. So that means you can't glue up blanks at the same time. When you're gluing blanks, you can't finish. And when you're doing either of those things, you can't assemble tables or pack boxes, right? Yeah. So it's you have 4 things in one space. You can only do one thing at a time. So versus now, you can kind of run all these different tasks in parallel. So that's been helpful. And we can definitely do more per week now. And go kind of from start to finish, we can do more per week than we could before. And then from a woodworking production perspective, just the space and electricity to get the industrial quality tools. Right? We in our basement just had all the stuff you can get at the home centers and just kind of entry level joiners and planers and things like that. We had a good table saw, but other than that, it was just all kind of the small stuff, which the tools can do it, but definitely excited about all the jet stuff we just got to just make things more efficient, faster, and just keep ramping up production, starting to make bigger things and all that. So the space is just a big enabler for higher throughput, space to hire employees, and just space to grow.
Yeah. And we kind of fell into it. Our good friend, their business is right next door to us. And they're like, hey, what do you think about moving into a commercial space? And we're like, that's a crazy idea, but give us more details. And then next thing you know, we're signing a lease. And we're in here 2 months later. Yeah. So it all happened pretty quick, but I think it worked out for the better, because if we were still doing this amount of production in our basement, I think I would cry every day. It was so stressful.
Once we knew this was an option too, just the one humid width of walking area through the shop, it's this, we just can't do this. Yeah. We need to get the space.
Yeah. Makes sense. Well, I'm glad it's going well. I know too that you all do shipping for a lot of your business, but I'm curious how much of your business is local versus how much you do across the U.S. Do you quantify that at all, or do you know?
It's I'm 99% to 100% all e-commerce. So we ship everything. We have the occasional local order, but we've kind of designed our business to be all e-commerce based, and even to the point of we research box sizes and then we'll design or change the designs based on what we can order.
Oh, wow.
Which sounds crazy, but we tried to do the local stuff, and I know a lot of other woodworkers start with local, but we figured we could sell farther and wider if we could figure out how to ship it assembled.
Well,
yeah, and part of it was like going back to what we had. Like we had a basement shop where like we couldn't make these big custom order dining room table, kitchen table type things in our shop because it'd have to come up the stairs eventually, and it goes down in small pieces but comes up assembled. So I think that was a big limiting factor. So like, yeah, I guess we'll just stick to small tables, focus on e-commerce. And I think for us too, we just saw the path to scale that much clearer than just like the local custom work. So
nice.
Things just kind of evolved around the e-commerce idea for sure.
Yeah, the stairs to our basement was probably our biggest factor in that.
Yeah.
I think our heaviest table right now is like 15 pounds boxed. So
Okay.
in a tiny hallway and upstairs, we were like, we don't really want to carry much more than that
Sure.
at a time. So I think that made some design decisions for us.
Makes sense. Well, I didn't know about your background in marketing, but and I was going to say that, in my opinion, you're excellent marketers. I think I follow you everywhere now, but I'm really curious, which platforms do you think help you reach the most actual customers, and how much of your time do you have to spend on marketing versus like actually making stuff?
Yeah, so when I first quit and started doing this full time, I spent a lot of time. We knew we were going to be successful at some point. We obviously just didn't know when that would hit. And so I spent a lot of time designing our website, getting all of our social profiles up, and spent a lot of time just like building our followings, I think. Now we don't spend as much time on it, so I'm glad that all of the upfront work is done. But
Sure.
TikTok has definitely been our biggest driver at this point, just because it's so different than any other social channel. I might also be impartial to it because I love just being able to talk to people more real, and I feel like I can put more personality behind our brand.
Sure.
Versus Instagram is kind of just like one picture and that's all you get. So I feel like with TikTok we're able to explain our story a little bit better. But we also do pretty well on Pinterest. Pinterest, their slogan or whatever is like planning for tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And so we hit the market pretty nice with people planning out moving into a new house or a small apartment, and our furniture kind of squeezes into those pockets of Pinterest pretty well. But yeah, I guess it depends. We're trying to go live more on TikTok. That's our new goal with our new space, and just kind of share our story a bit more on there. And maybe we'll start a YouTube channel. I don't know. It's like our business, marketing has been kind of trial and error. And I think now that people are looking towards smaller businesses for things like furniture, it's been ramping up even further.
Sure.
It's kind of helping us.
I feel like every woodworker now has to have a YouTube channel, so that would be, it seems like it makes sense.
Yeah, there's so much pressure, right? It's like, we feel like we have to do it, but also...
I mean, we know we should do it.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Like, we're just finally starting to get ahead, we think, with production. So it's like once we can do that and just find our new groove, hopefully there's more time to think about other stuff. And we'll see.
Well, speaking of, I guess, media stuff, I know that I'm not the only one here with a podcast. You have one as well. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this happened because of TikTok too. Our business and TikTok's great. I love it for this reason.
Yeah.
But Shelby from Homestead by Hand randomly reached out one day in November and was like, "Hey, I want to start a podcast. Do you want to join me?" And I was like, "I don't know you." And I've never done one, but yeah, let's try it. And we got to talking and realized that we both had the drive to teach other people about how to make their businesses successful and starting from the ground up. And it's called the Doers Do podcast because Shelby has this motto that dreamers dream and doers do. And we felt that fit both of our styles pretty well.
Nice.
So I've been doing that for like 2 months. It's been fun. I really enjoy it. It's like business therapy for both of us to just talk about everything. And we had Nick on for the first time to talk about CNCs. So he'll be slowly featured. But he can help talk about like those kind of things inside of the business. So it's been fun. Yeah, podcasting is a world that I didn't really think we'd ever be in, but
well, that's awesome.
Yeah, here we are. Thanks. It's good.
Well, so because you all are here in Dayton, I'm curious, do you have any favorite things to do or places to go in the Dayton area? Any favorite restaurants or places you like to visit?
I mean, for sure the breweries. Yeah. Like, we've always liked Warped Wings since we've been here. I think we've been here for 5 years now. And Warped Wings always been part of our lives, right? Yeah. I feel like that's what we do mostly. Like, whenever we go out, it's to a brewery for food and beer.
Or Old Scratch.
Oh, yeah. All solid choices.
Being from New Jersey, pizza is like a hard thing to find in the Midwest for us, but Old Scratch and Roma's Pizza in Springboro have been our go-to if you want some good New York-style pizza.
Nice. Awesome. Well, going a little bit back to marketing, I guess, where can people find you online, or how could they order from you?
So everything, like I said, is all e-commerce based, but our website is 25andpine.com, and same as our handles on every social platform, is just at 25andpine, and spelled out 25, not just the numbers.
Okay.
That was something that maybe people should consider when naming their business. We didn't think that people would go right to the number.
Yeah.
We're on a couple different online platforms, but yeah, our website's definitely the biggest and the best right now.
Awesome. Well, thanks for talking with me. It's been great learning more about your business, and I appreciate you taking the time to be on the show.
Of course.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. All right, well, that was my interview with Kristina and Nick Molinaro of 25 and Pine. Greatly appreciate them coming on the show to talk with me, and please check them out at their website. That about does it for this episode of Discover Dayton. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review, share it with a friend, let other people know about it, and follow us on Facebook or other social media. That's it for today's show. Thanks for listening, take care, and stay funky, Dayton.